Imagine you're at the gym. You walk in, pick up the heaviest dumbbell you can find, lift it exactly once, drop it, wander over to the treadmill, hit a random button for, I don't know, 30 seconds, and then finish up by doing a single sit-up.
Right, that's not a workout.
No, you would call it total chaos. Yet every weekend, millions of golfers step onto a practice green and do exactly that.
It is entirely accepted as normal behavior in golf, which is crazy. You see players drop 3 balls, hit them indiscriminately toward a hole, retrieve them, and just do it again.
Yeah.
They might be moving around and they might even be sweating, but they absolutely aren't training.
Today, we're tearing down that chaotic approach. We're diving deep into the Puttalyze methodology, and the mission is really simple. We want to crack the code of effective putting practice.
Which means moving away from traditional, outdated methods.
Exactly. We are going to transform random repetition into a science-backed system. So, okay, let's unpack this right out of the gate. Why is it that you can spend hours on a practice screen genuinely feeling like you're putting in the work, but you take absolutely zero improvements to the actual golf course?
Well, because activity does not equal improvement. There's a very stark distinction in sports science between purposeful practice and merely hitting putts.
Just whacking balls.
Right, just whacking balls. If you do that, your central nervous system isn't adapting to a new skill. You're just exercising. A true practice system requires answering what, why, and how before the putter even leaves the ground.
Makes sense.
Like if you spend 30 minutes hitting 50 long pucks from the exact same spot without a specific measurable goal, you aren't educating your muscles at all. You're actually risking the reinforcement of bad habits.
So it sounds like practicing without a system is almost like typing the same misspelled word 100 times to get better at spelling.
Oh, totally.
You're highly active, your fingers are flying across the keyboard, but you're just getting really, really good at making a mistake.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. If you don't know the objective of the drill, performing the drill is practically useless. The Puttalyze philosophy emphasizes that putting is not just one single monolithic skill.
It's a bunch of things.
It's a highly complex collection of interrelated variables. You've got stroke mechanics, face rotation, face angle, center contact, ball speed, distance control.
Green reading, aim.
Exactly. The list is extensive. So if you are just hitting putts, you have to ask, which of those variables are you actually improving?
You have absolutely no idea. You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Right.
So if unstructured practice fails us, we have to replace it with something concrete. And this methodology leans heavily into science and objective data.
It does. We have to shift away from subjective feel and move toward objective, evidence-based measurement. Instead of hitting a putt and asking yourself, did that stroke feel better? You need to be asking a different set of questions.
Like what?
Like, was the face rotation consistent? Did the face angle improve? Was the ball speed repeatable?
Hold on, though. You're saying we should ditch feel for data, but golf culture is obsessed with feel. I mean, you watch any Sunday broadcast, and every commentator is talking about a player's unbelievable feel for the greens.
No, for sure.
Are we saying feel is completely useless on the golf course?
Not useless, no, but heavily misunderstood. Feeling confident or comfortable does not always equate to performing mechanically well.
Right.
Subjective feel is just a reaction. Objective measurement is the reality. When we track specific metrics, we confirm real improvement and we remove the uncertainty. Data doesn't lie to you to protect your ego.
It just tells you what happened.
Exactly. It tells you the exact physical reality of what just happened at impact.
Speaking of the reality at impact, we should probably clarify some of these terms for anyone who isn't a PGA professional. We hear face angle and face rotation thrown around a lot. What is the actual difference between those two when we are trying to measure them?
It is a really critical distinction. Think of face angle as a photograph. It is the exact static position the putter face is pointing at the very millisecond of impact.
Like, is it open, closed, or square?
Yes, precisely. Face rotation, on the other hand, is like a video. It is the dynamic rate at which the putter face is opening during the backstroke and closing during the forward stroke.
Oh, I see.
So you can actually have a highly inconsistent face rotation, but still occasionally deliver a square face angle at impact just through sheer luck or manipulation.
But you can't repeat that under pressure.
No, absolutely not. It falls apart.
Which brings us to the most crucial scientific element we have to track, which dictates everything, right? Ball speed.
If you take away only one scientific principle about putting from this deep dive, it must be this. Direction determines where the ball starts, but speed determines where it finishes.
So I could read the green flawlessly, aim perfectly, hit it squarely, but if my speed is off, I'm missing the putt entirely.
More than just missing it, the wrong speed fundamentally changes the physics of the putt. Ball speed influences the amount of break the ball will take.
Right.
It even influences the effective size of the hole. If a ball is traveling too fast, the hole physically shrinks because the ball will just skip over the lip instead of falling in.
Wow, yeah.
A perfectly aimed putt struck with the wrong speed almost always misses. But a putt with excellent speed, even if the aim is slightly off, frequently catches a piece of the hole or finishes close enough for a tap-in.
There is a specific benchmark introduced here in the text called the Puttalyze target speed. The goal is for the ball to be traveling at approximately 3 rotations per second or 3 arps when it reaches the hole. But how on earth do I measure 3 rotations per second with my naked eye? Do I need some $10,000 launch monitor for that?
I mean, you can certainly use a launch monitor, but you can also train this visually. A really common method is drawing a thick line around the circumference of the golf ball.
Oh, okay.
When you strike it, you can just film the putt in slow motion on your smartphone or simply train your eye to watch the tumbling of that line as it approaches the cup.
And 3 rotations per second is the magic number.
It is the sweet spot. It provides the ideal balance between hole capture, meaning gravity takes over, and the ball drops in rather than lipping out in predictable break.
So training to that visual cue builds consistency.
Exactly. Training to that specific 3 arps cue allows you to develop a reliable physical relationship between how long your stroke is and how far the ball rolls.
That makes total sense. But how do we translate these highly controlled scientific metrics into actual on-course performance? Because, practicing on a perfectly flat practice green is one thing, but stepping onto the first hole is a totally different beast.
This is the transition from technical practice into performance practice. Technical practice is controlled.
Right, like a lab.
Yes. You isolate one variable, like that face angle we discussed, and you repeat it from the same distance. You are building the physical movement. But the golf course is chaotic.
Oh, definitely.
On the course, every single putt is a completely new observation and a completely new decision.
So technical practice is like hitting baseballs off a stationary batting tee, but performance practice is stepping into the box against a live pitcher who's throwing random curveballs and fastballs at you.
That is the perfect way to look at it. To bridge that gap, the methodology introduces something called one-ball practice. You basically abandon the comfort of hitting several balls from the exact same spot.
You just use one.
You take a single ball, you read the fall line, which is the true steepest direction of gravity on that specific patch of grass. You estimate the slope percentage, you visualize the trajectory, commit to the line, and execute. And then, regardless of the outcome, whether it goes in or not, you pick the ball up and move to a completely new location and do it all over again.
Because in a tournament, you don't get a mulligan. You don't get to calibrate your swing on the same patch of grass 3 times before it counts. You get one look.
Exactly. And random practice pushes this cognitive load even further. You alternate variable distances and conditions constantly.
Like mixing it up completely.
Yeah, you hit a short uphill putt, immediately followed by a long downhill putt, followed by a severe left-to-right break. This prevents your brain from going on autopilot and just memorizing a single physical stroke.
It forces you to think.
Every single stroke requires a fresh observation, a fresh calculation, and a fresh execution. Technical practice builds the movement, but performance practice develops your ability to actually use that movement under realistic conditions.
So if elite coaches are using this kind of clinical data and structured chaos to diagnose root causes, what does that actually look like on the lesson tee? Because a coach's role cannot just be standing there shouting, keep your head down, or tweaking a grip based on a hunch.
No, not at all. The role of an elite coach in the Puttalyze system is to diagnose root causes, not just treat visible symptoms. They use a very strict 5-step baseline assessment methodology.
Okay, what's the golden rule there?
The golden rule is measure first, coach second. Objective assessment always precedes technical instruction.
Let's break down those 5 steps because the order is really fascinating. Step 1 is the player interview. So understanding the golfer's history, their handicap, their typical struggles.
Right.
But step 2 is initial observation. The text says the coach just watches the natural stroke without making a single correction. Why hold back? Like if you see a terrible grip, why not just fix it immediately?
Because if a coach corrects a grip on putt number 1, they have just contaminated the baseline data for pets 2 through 10.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
The initial observation has to represent the golfer's authentic, uninfluenced performance. If you jump in with a fix too early, you are no longer measuring the player's actual habit. You are measuring their awkward attempt to implement your sudden advice.
Observe before you instruct. Brilliant. Then step 3 is the objective measurement, getting all the data on face angle, club path, ball speed, and launch angle.
Exactly.
Step 4 is the green reading assessment, testing if they actually see the slope correctly. And finally, step 5 is assessing mental performance, looking at their pre-putt routine and emotional control.
This structured approach answers a massive question for the coach. When a putt misses, are you looking at a mechanical failure or decision-making failure?
That's a huge distinction.
It is. Imagine a golfer who consistently misses putts to the right. A traditional coach might immediately see the ball miss right and decide to tweak the player's stance or strengthen their grip.
Just reacting to the symptom.
Right. But if they had run the objective measurement step, the data might show that the stroke mechanics and face angle are actually flawless.
So wait, if the mechanics are flawless, why are they missing right every time?
Well, it could be poor green reading. They might just be consistently underestimating left-to-right breaks.
Oh, sure.
Or it could be excessive ball speed, blowing the ball through the break. It could even be a lack of mental commitment, causing them to decelerate at the last second. The visible symptom is missing right. But the underlying root cause could be one of a dozen completely different things.
So by completing all 5 steps, they figure it out.
By doing all 5, the coach builds a holistic performance profile to identify the true limitation.
It sounds exactly like a medical doctor. I mean, you wouldn't want a doctor prescribing you heavy blood pressure medication just because your face looks red, right?
Definitely not.
You want them to run the blood panels, check the objective lab results, and diagnose the root cause so the intervention is precise and evidence-based.
And that is the exact standard we should hold golf instruction to.
Okay, so we understand how the elite coaches use this framework, but what happens when a player doesn't have a coach standing over them? How do you, the listener, self-diagnose and actually structure your 45 minutes on the practice green this Tuesday afternoon?
You have to follow a progression from learning to performance. It begins with step 1, which is calibration. Before you attempt any long putts or breaking putts, you perform the core putt drill.
And this is entirely about movement quality over quantity, right?
Completely. The goal isn't to see how many putts you can hit in 10 minutes. The goal is to stabilize your fundamental mechanics before you introduce environmental variables.
You're just setting a baseline.
Right. You focus entirely on repeatable impact conditions. Is your posture balanced? Is your face rotation consistent? Are you making dead center contact? Quality always exceeds quantity here. 10 meticulously evaluated strokes will improve your game infinitely more than 100 mindless, uncontrolled strokes.
Because your body is never exactly the same every single day. Small changes in fatigue or balance or even what shoes you're wearing can throw you off.
Exactly.
So you have to calibrate that physical baseline first. Once that's locked in, we move to step 2, which is speed calibration.
Because every golf course is different, and greens change speed depending on the weather and the time of day. Before you start doing complex distance control drills, you need to gauge the stimp value of the green.
So just feeling out the speed.
Yes, you hit putts specifically to adapt your internal stroke length to the external environment. You are actively comparing your expected roll distance with the actual roll distance. You are calibrating your brain to the objective physical reality of the grass you are standing on that specific day.
And then step 3 is where we finally blend that technical practice with performance practice. We take the isolated variable we just calibrated and we add pressure.
That's right. You introduce scoring games. You might play a drill where the goal is avoiding 3 putts entirely, or you play a simulated 9-hole putting course.
Just to make it feel real.
Exactly. You demand that you finish every long putt inside a tightly defined target zone. You take the technical skill and you force yourself to execute it when there are actual consequences. During competition, every putt matters, and emotional pressure alters how our brains function.
It totally changes things.
You have to train your brain to execute the exact same routine regardless of that pressure.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. When we talk about these performance games and the mental side of things, there is a massive psychological shift required in the source text.
Yes, there is.
The mantra laid out is 1 putt, 1 decision, 1 commitment. If you are standing over the ball, looking at the hole, and uncertainty suddenly creeps into your mind, what are you supposed to do? because the human temptation is to just swing anyway, get it over with, and hope for the best.
Swinging anyway is the worst possible thing you can do. If you feel uncertainty develop, you must force yourself to step away from the ball and restart the entire routine. Yes, elite putting relies on absolute, complete commitment to one clearly defined solution. If you swing while in doubt, you are actively practicing failure.
You're cementing the wrong mindset.
You are literally training your central nervous system to accept and execute indecision. Once your decision is made, no further changes or second-guessing should occur over the ball.
That is a brutally tough habit to break. Stepping away feels like admitting defeat in the moment, but I mean, it makes so much sense long term. Let's pull all these threads together. We've gone from ditching random, chaotic gym-style practice to embracing objective data and the 3 rotations per second target speed.
Right.
We've talked about applying that speed randomly on the course to build cognitive load, diagnosing root causes like a medical doctor, and structuring a calibrated progressive practice session.
If there is a primary takeaway for you to distill from all of this, it is the fundamental rule of sports science. You cannot improve what you do not measure. Period. If you rely purely on feel, you are guessing. Objective feedback transforms your practice from a series of hopeful repetitions into a systemic process of continuous, measurable improvement.
Technical consistency must precede performance challenges. Build a swing on the driving range mat first, but then make sure you test it in the wet rough.
And when you do face those performance challenges, when you are doing pressure practice, you must evaluate your performance based on the process, not just the outcome.
Explain that, because golf is a game of score. How can I evaluate my performance on anything other than whether the ball went in the hole? Just patting myself on the back for doing a nice pre-shot routine, even if I miss, kind of feels like a participation trophy.
I get that, but it is about data integrity over time. Performance under pressure should not be judged solely by the immediate result because the golf course has unpredictable variables.
Like a spike mark or something.
Right, a spike mark, a sudden gust of wind, a slightly misread slope. You must ask yourself the process questions. Did I follow my routine? Did I fully commit to the selected aim point?
Did I maintain the target speed?
Exactly. Did I remain emotionally stable? If the answer to all of those is yes, you have achieved a successful performance, even if the ball catches the lip and narrowly misses.
That's a huge perspective shift.
Over the long term, a flawless process will yield a lower handicap. A bad process that gets lucky once will eventually fall apart.
For everyone listening, applying this exact Puttalyze framework is going to save you countless hours of wasted time and frustration on the practice green. It's about turning you into an independent, knowledgeable, and confident golfer who knows exactly why the ball did what it did.
No more guessing.
Right. No more guessing. No more typing the misspelled word 100 times just to get tired.
It creates a foundation of absolute certainty. You stop hoping for a good stroke and you start expecting a repeatable stroke because you have the objective evidence in the calibrated training to back it up.
Think about this. If our physical perception of something as basic as slope and speed needs constant objective calibration on the practice green, how much of our everyday decision-making off the golf course is also based on uncalibrated feel rather than objective facts? Something to mull over as you step off the practice green. If you found today's episode valuable, please subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us continue producing evidence-based golf education for golfers and coaches around the world. If you have a golf question, topic idea, or challenge you would like us to research, test, or explain, please leave a comment, contact us on LinkedIn, or send us an email. If you're ready to improve your putting performance, join our 30-day Puttalyze Green Reading and Putting Certification course, where you'll learn green reading, speed and distance control, setup, alignment, aim, stroke mechanics, and a proven system for reading greens with greater confidence and consistency.